Warning, the following footage contains two people discussing opinions. Be aware that you may or may not agree with them, but we're absolutely not telling you how to play your class. We're just talking. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy.
Dave, lift the microphone.
Whoa!
Holy moly.
Wasn't that hard, to be honest?
I know. I just forget how it goes sometimes.
What kind of loot is this, Jesus?
Oh, I got a ring.
Yeah, I've got it too.
Okay. Let's do the... I can read off the script now, I guess. I threw it together in like the 5 minutes that we were talking. So we already talked a little bit about like how we're so reliant on other classes to buff us. It's almost like there are situations where we can't even keep up unless there's every possible combination of buff debuffer in the party just for us. Like an SW, a DO.
Yeah, exactly. Can I use profanity in this video?
Yeah, I'll just put like Roblox oof
Oh.
noises. Oof!
Well, basically, we're buff dependent, of course, and we need it. We crave for buffs. It's one of those classes that it's like it won't go on if you don't get buffed. So, but like most important things are, I would say, like two crucial buffs is like Bane and Exaltation, of course. But there are many additional buffs. I mean, you need DC, you need DO. Like Scourge, in my opinion, is the best fifth member in your party. If you're going, for example, main DPS.
Yep.
I go DC AC, DC DO, OP Prot / Devo, and Scourge Templock. Templocks are fucking amazing. They had no love given before, but now they're just an amazing part of the party, and I prefer it. Like more than HR, for example. I can't sync myself with HRs. If I would say I would go for one phasing workers, I can never sync myself with HRs.
Yeah, I think Longstrider shot is like it's a 40% buff, but it doesn't last very long, so you don't really have a good if they can't keep it up 100% of the time, then you're kind of
it says like it gives a little tooltip that it's like Longstrider, but still it's like usually it's all like either before or too late. So yeah. Scourge is like awesome.
Yeah, and I think Scourge has 38% buff total. I think you get 18% from their circle power.
I'm not sure.
And 20%.
I'm not sure.
It's 20%. I know, globally, not globally. It's 20% just from having the target cursed. That much I know. And I'm pretty sure the circle is 18%.
Thing is, I was always a simple guy, and I was always bad at let's say numbers. I just go in raw and test it. Okay, if it works, it works. If I die, I die. If it dies, it dies. So I don't know how much percentage and buffs it give, but it gives a lot. It gives a lot. I feel really big difference, especially when I go with like experienced veteran Scourges. Like
Yep, I know what you mean.
Aeroshock, like Mira, all those guys.
Yeah, Aeroshock is the guy who helped me get mine.
Yeah, that's my favorite Scourge.
Yeah, I just walked in and it was like nothing. Just did it. I just did what I always do, and that was the first time it actually worked.
Exactly. You just needed the buffs.
Yeah.
But back to your question, when do you feel that you're ready when do you feel like you're a good conqueror? Is like you feel it. I can't explain it. You just drill it so much. I think you can back me up on that. You just feel it. You just feel it that your rotations are like Swiss clock. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Swiss watch. Like it's perfect. You just do it. Just everything is like muscle memory.
Exactly.
And, I mean, if anybody followed my guide, there's a rotation, and that rotation is like, if you do it like action after action in right order, it should be enough. It should be enough. And if you didn't do it, it's basically either your build is something's not working, or the buffs. And if you feel that your build is perfect, rotation is perfect enough, and you can do it, it's probably the buffers.
Yeah.
Not to diss anyone, but it's probably the buffers, because my friend Integrity, yeah, he didn't do one phase, but then we entered with the right team, and he just went it like piece of cake.
First try, it was.
Yeah.
It was like everything fell into place. It was like the moment that I've just been waiting for. You know what I mean? Like I go in and I do the same thing every time I've done it. I did it like 100 times. I don't even know, maybe 1,000 times. Heck, I did it the same way every single time. And then I got into the right party, and the muscle memory from those 1,000 practices finally paid off. But it came down to the party. It had nothing to do with me. I always had the same stats. Nothing was changed.
About the drill, like my advice would be is go to Fangbreaker Island, or FBI in short. I think it's the best playground for any GF that there could be. Either you're a Tactician or Conqueror, I think. Personal opinion. Because
you gonna try to solo it?
Never.
Or just like...
I couldn't. Anyways, it's like you get monsters that one-shot you. You get red circles where you need to dodge and learn how to, like, you know, when to shield up. You get bosses where you get the opportunity to one phase and practice it on a, let's say, lower level, lower tier, and it's one of the best dungeons to practice. It's the best playground. When I created my GF,
yeah,
I literally spent 1 month in FBI, and only FBI, doing it day after day, drilling it. And yeah, it was so hard at first, but then I learned when to use Fighter's Recovery. Then I learned when to use this or that, when to shield up, or when, like, my first, like, one phase was on Turtle, and back then it was still kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that was before we had Soulsight Crystal and all that. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was just like that was gonna be nobody was wheeling anybody else back then. It was all just like
exactly. And when I did it, I understood that, like, I'm kind of ready. And then we got the tongue. Then it was like pretty hard, but I just geared up more, like, decently, like got better stuff, because at first I was like 14.6 when I just started. Then I just on module 13 on module 12B or 12, I don't remember actually. When did we get chilled?
Module 12, yeah.
Yeah, on module 12 I started boosting up really quick, like from 14.6k, 15k to like 16.5, and then, like, by this module I ended up with 17.9.
Damn, that's a little bit ahead of me.
I know. Well, it's not that hard. You just need a lot of luck. Then basically it's luck, a lot of luck.
Right.
And good parties. If you have good parties, the farming gets not that much of a torture. More of a joy when you just go in, do a 13-minute tongue, and with the one phase and stuff like that. It's just like you just do it casually
and then just do it again and again.
Yeah.
Then do it 1,000 times until you have all the UEs.
And about Tactician, you asked, when do you think you should go Tactician?
Yeah, do you ever feel like
never...
you're in a party where the damage, or say you're with like a really strong great weapon fighter, and they brought you on to buff without realizing that you do damage also? At what point do you feel like it makes sense to step back from damage and just go Tactician, if ever?
I personally say that the only dungeon I would go Tactician in. No, okay, two dungeons is Castle Ravenloft or Cradle. When you're support, your second GF, or in Cradle, because for me personally, I think that GF isn't that great main DPS in Castle Ravenloft, because you know you can't stack your shit because you get hit, and we
then,
talked that you need to build up and stack up, and so just
Then they smack you, take your AP, put chains on you, and you got to start all over again.
So for me, I never had Tactician loadout until like this module, and I was fine with that, because like I said, Tactician, I don't know, it's not like you need to step for Tactician. I would say you can like offhand tank easily, like MSP, FBI, and like other dungeons, except I'd say Tong, unless you have a really good buff group, then you can be a tank without being Tactician. That's what our viewers should
Yeah,
highlight.
that's true.
You don't necessarily need to go Tactician to tank, but you don't necessarily need to be DPS if you're Conqueror.
Right. I mean, the way I feel about it is we can tank. And we're gonna tank whether we want to or not, because as soon as we use Knight's Challenge, that's it.
Well, tanking is a kind of wide definition. You know what I mean? Tanking. What is tanking?
Right.
Just taking aggro off, or tanking like, it's a pretty wide definition.
Right. I would almost say that there's no need for tanks at all in this game after a certain point, because the more power you have, the more defense and deflection you have if you're running Shepherd's Devotion.
Yeah, I mean, that's my motto. You don't need to tank if everything dies before, they can hit you.
Yeah, exactly. If everything's a one phase, like, who needs to tank?
But we're talking about the real end game here, and I think we should focus on like mid game people, or even lower tier, because everybody wants to learn, and that's why we're here for.
Yeah.
So.
But once you can't even think about running DPS you can't even think about running Conqueror until you reach a certain threshold with your stats. Like, you can, but it won't be as effective, because you said earlier it's very gear score oriented. If you don't have your 100% armor penetration in Castle Ravenloft, or you don't have your 90% crit chance, then maybe it makes more sense to go Tactician.
Yeah, I would say so. Tactician is less demanding. Conqueror is very AD expensive, is very gear dependent and buff dependent. So it's a needy class. How should I say it? It's you gotta spoil it a lot. So if you want to create a GF Conqueror, be ready to like spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time to learn rotations, to like to get to if you already have good friends that are like ready for end game, then you're good to go. But like plugging will be tough.
Yeah, that's true. People are very unforgiving.
Yeah, even nowadays people like look skeptically to you if you say you're GF DPS.
I know.
At least at some channels, unless you like major name, like. But if you're new, it's like no, don't be a wannabe and stuff like that. You have no idea how hard it was for me when I started GF. I only ran with friends, and it still was hard. Everybody was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
When I join parties, sometimes people will say, "Can you go buff?" And
Exactly.
I say, "Well, yeah, but Guardian Fighter always buffs. What do you mean? Like, I'm using ITF.
We have Mark, ITF.
we're proccing Crushing Pin. Yeah, like you're getting the buffs and you're getting the debuffs. So something to think about is what is the difference between Conqueror buffs and debuffs and Tactician buffs and debuffs?
I'd say
not too much, right?
But the most important thing why Tacticians are better than, let's say, at some point than DPS GFs is that the action point regeneration recharging
Yep.
for your party members. That's the biggest like feature of Tactician, in my opinion.
Yeah, when you take damage, your entire team gains action points based on a percentage of your hit points lost. I think it's Thig, you gain 2% action points for every 1% you lose.
I think with your editing skills, you could like at this timestamp, you could add a picture of the actual skill and the tooltip.
Yep, I'll do that.
Yeah. Anyways, what else? Ask me, because
So-
I get so in depth that I just lose.
So that's
lose
another
the,
thing to
forget.
consider, I guess, is if you're in a team with, let's say, a TR that benefits a lot from having high AP gain, then maybe it makes more sense to go Tactician because you
definitely.
want them spamming dailies and stacking power. So it's a good idea to run Tactician if you're with a TR, for example. But if you were with, let's say, a great weapon fighter, it wouldn't be as much of a deal breaker. It wouldn't be as much make or break. So that's
For example, if I go with my some of my friends, they actually prefer me to stay DPS and, for example, offhand, you know what I mean, secondary DPS, and it would be faster if I would go DPS rather than Tactician at some point.
Yep.
And that point is, for example, Orcus fight.
Yep.
I take the green buff, and I let the main DPS take the red buff, but I still remain as a DPS, and I don't even wheel that person. I, for example, stay soul sight, and the outcome is sometimes better than the actual meta that people think would be better.
Yeah.
So always try to think out the frame, people. Like, not everything is the best that is like written in the Red Book of Neverwinter, in the Red Book of Neverwinter meta book.
Yeah. For example, like on that Orcus fight, there's situations where it makes more sense for me to go Tactician sometimes, but only if, like, for example, the OP isn't going to bane me, I'm not being exalted, and I know that the great weapon fighter is going to one phase. But if in pretty much any situation where I know it's not going to be a one phase, it makes more sense to go Conqueror. And I will sometimes do more damage than the person with the red buff, even.
Yeah, I mean, red buff, usually if everything goes right, it does, main DPS by the end of Orcus fight has around 400 million damage done.
Yep.
So if you do 400 million as well, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Anyways, going Tactician is like, yeah, for example, if you're getting Bane, because you can get double Bane, the main DPS and the offhand DPS. If you're getting Bane, you should for sure stay in Conqueror.
Right. But if the OP is not Bane,
there are many factors, but yeah, sometimes even if I'm like a secondary DPS, but it's a rare occasions. But you even get a wheel and a Bane as a second DPS, and I take the green buff, and it's really awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. Another thing I liked, this is probably off topic a little bit, but during the fight, if I took the green buffs and I'm on the balls, I love that you can stack your daily like 3-4 times sometimes. If you just shield up and run into the ball, if you use your villain's menace and then hit the ball with the shield up, you get your AP right back. And
it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the things that people didn't notice or don't tend to notice.
I don't know if that's a bug or a feature, but
it's kind
awesome.
of not off topic, but it's like subtopic.
Yeah.
It's not pretty far from our topic.
I think just because we have so many tools, even as the secondary DPS, we have so many ways to still do very good DPS that it doesn't make sense for us to step back and just buff.
Yeah. For example, I've been told that, and even read on the guides, that you almost must go Tactician first before you go Conqueror to learn fundamentals, how the shielding works and everything like that. But it went straight DPS. I'm probably not one of the many people that just went straight to DPS without even going tactician. I think so.
You were like, screw it, I'm gonna learn the hard way, and if I don't,
exactly, it was very hard, but yeah, the hardcore mode. I think that's why it made me what I am now. That's what I think, to be honest. So don't be scared and don't listen to people who says you gotta be tactician first to be DPS later. Not true. If you put enough like dedication and you know, will to it,
yep,
you'll definitely make it. So yeah.
So consider the mechanics, but don't let anybody tell you how to play or what path you should take. It's
exactly.
It comes down to what you want to do.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is, for me, hitting dummies is one of the worst training methods. I just don't feel it. I gotta go raw and live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. The training dummies don't hit back, and taking damage is a big part of our damage.
That's why I never go to preview server as well, like rarely. I just want to test it live, you know what I mean? Just live.
Yep. I'm probably going to play around on preview this time, but I don't know how far I'm going to go.
I'm not.
It depends. I just want to see. I've never tried it before. I've never been able to see what was coming.
You'll have a new forgot the term in English. New goal to, you know, one phase the skirmish boss.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to learn the mechanics before they come out, so maybe this time I can get some kind of like a dungeon guide in that's relevant.
Ooh, you're gonna get a lot of views.
Yeah, maybe that'll help me take off. If I break 1,000, I can start making money, and then start living the dream.
What do you mean?
I haven't. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I can sign up to be monetized.
Only 1,000? I read that it's very strict now to get monetized.
Yeah, it's only 1,000 though. I mean, there's like some rules on uploads and how many views and stuff.
God,
like you have
I
to.
wish. I only have 285. I've gained 13 subscribers after your video. That's something.
Hey, 13's good. I mean, I shamelessly put myself out there, like on the forums and the Reddit and stuff. Like every time I spam my video like all over the Facebook page, and I'm like, let's talk about it and stuff like that. But
fair enough.
But it's slowing down now because I think
maybe I'll get. Yeah.
I'm at 500. I just broke 500, and I'm pretty sure that's all the Guardian fighters that exist in Neverwinter. So, so I think I hit my limit.
Oh my God, that's you know, laughing and crying at the same time in this joke.
Yeah. But I'm stubborn.
Sad,
I don't want to
true.
do other games. Like I thought about doing guides for other games that I've played, but I'm stubborn. I want to stick to Neverwinter.
It's pretty rough that it's. Let's be honest, not a game that kind of will make breakthrough in your streaming career. That's sad, and you spend so much time on it. It's like, I wish it was so popular. I mean,
I know. I keep waiting. Like maybe they're gonna release the mod one day. Maybe they're gonna release the mod that just blows this game up, and the population goes up 10
really
times.
I think Barovia was one of the modules that really kind of exploded. They put so much money into like commercials and advertising.
Oh yeah, that's true. And they got a bunch of
and
Twitch streamers in.
Started up, yeah, for the first time in like many months, I saw 4.7k people playing on Steam alone.
Jeez.
And it was, wow, yeah. Usually it's like 3k tops. So I think it worked, and I think this module is not that bad. I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
the dungeon itself is for me, but it's for me, my personal experience.
Yeah, there's a lot of mechanics, and there's a lot of I don't want to say bugs, but there's things that can go wrong in there that create a cycle of things just constantly continuing to go wrong. Like in the end, as soon as you die even once, even if you have a scroll, it's like the team just can't pull it back together sometimes, and you have to die 4, 5, 6 times before you can recover. And at that point, you've already lost a whole bunch of money in scrolls and time, and you might not even finish.
Oh yeah, it's very scroll dependent, which is it's literally expensive.
Yeah, it's not a good return on investment. I see a lot of people looking for members, and the requirements for that is either like a certain item level. You have to have an item level, you have to have experience, and you have to have scrolls. Like people are putting that in their messages.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I have my own circle of friends.
Right.
But
That's the
getting your
real
own
guild
circle
list.
of friends is not easy.
That is true. I would say that for a lot of Guardian fighters out there who seem like they're who might maybe struggling, some good advice is to find people that you feel comfortable running with, and run with them often, and build yourself up with the team instead of...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and synchronize yourself with them and like become one. You know, fist.
Yep. Or else you'll end up like me, trying to one phase with randoms for a whole year, never pulling it off.
Exactly, and it took just one evening
Yep.
to make it happen.
One evening with people who were used to running with you and knew good Guardian fighter rotation.
Yeah, exactly. And since your rotation was exactly like mine, kind of like 90% like mine, it wasn't that hard for them to like, you know, adjust themselves to you. And yeah, that's why I knew that it's gonna happen, because like you're basically like me. We're the
Yeah.
same.
I know, I was so nervous at first. I was like, we'll try it 3 times. If I can't do it on 3 times, we'll just call it a day. Just walked in and did it. Man.
It was fast as fuck, dude. Faster than mine KB one phase, but yeah, I didn't use Willen's Menace, and I didn't stack KB, so
Melted it.
yeah.
It's crazy. I think the message of the story is you have to be able to identify the party, what they can do for you, like in terms of Bane, or if somebody's going to wheel you, and you have to be able to identify what the DPS in the party is capable of, because if you can do even 40% of the damage that they can do in a dungeon, then you're contributing more than just Tactician would.
Yep. And I don't know, my final words would be, the biggest misconception is that, for example, let's say I made a guide and I put the screenshots with my gear, and people have this mindset that you gotta get like exact gear. It's not true. There are some gear that like it's like unreplaceable because it's BIS, but like basically it's all about the balance and the stat balancing. So
Yep.
people just balance your stats, find the right balance, and you know what I mean.
Yep. It's not about item level, it's about your stats, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'm using Crown of the Undead. I've been criticized for using it, and like, why are you not using Castle Rail Module 14 gear?
Yep.
I just don't like it. I like the effect of the Crown of the Undead. It helps me, and I still can one phase, for example, and yeah, I still have perfect balance.
Yeah.
Like 100% critical strike, 100% resistance ignored, and the rest goes to power. That's my final word. And yeah, I mean,
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a good point. I was talking to somebody the other day about, like, I think we got into an argument on Facebook, you might remember, over Warbore or
yeah.
or Siege Master, and at the end of it, it's like, okay, well, Warbore is 5%, Siege Master's 4%, but at the end, my argument was, well, if you can one phase with the Siege Master, you can one phase with the Warbore. If you can one phase with a Warbore, you can one phase with the Siege Master. Neither one is really gonna make or break you.
Yeah. Anyways, and what else? Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. It's not only about you. I mean, you are buff dependent.
Oof. Yeah.
So you gotta appreciate your buffers, and yeah, just try to sync with everybody, and don't just be like prima donna. It's like me.
Right.
Yes. it's you who gonna one phase, but without them, we're
Exactly.
nothing without buffers. So
I went a whole year without
appreciate
one
your friend.
phasing.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate your friends who actually made you one phase, and yeah, be thankful. Well, my final words would be good night and good fight.
All right, Zeff. That's awesome.
Please.